What's up, everybody? Hello and welcome to Monday, November 6th edition of the Whole Story. This weekend we finally wrap up our triple header. So me and Alex will get to discuss the Brazilian Grand Prix today and all the detail that we want, and not have to worry about previewing another race. I know as podcasters, show hosts, whatever we are. 3 weeks of back to back to back is a lot. I can't imagine what those guys go through. So I'm sure they need a break too. But man, Brazilian Grand Prix this week under the name Sao Paulo. Man, I thought it was a very average weekend. Alex, what were your thoughts on the weekend as a whole?
I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. The race itself was the most exciting especially from Brazil standards, because I had Brazil as like my top two races of the year, so it was their main one. I thought the sprint race was phenomenal. It did leave obvious signs of what was going to happen during the race, and that did happen during the race. But it was a solid weekend. I always enjoy Brazil. I think even obviously with the results that did happen and the gaps that did happen in the race, I think we still had for some exciting racing in Interlagos, especially towards the end there for the podium.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Brazil, I believe it had the most on track passes last year. As Alex said, the sprint race, in my opinion, was real good. The race was not so good, and that's why I kind of give it that average finish. But it was another weekend that we'll discuss, obviously, dominated by Max Verstappen. We're going to discuss how the sprint weekend affected some top running teams with only one practice available to them. Our picks game is about as solidified as Sergio Perez over Lewis Hamilton in points. Not locked up yet, but it's looking pretty darn good for Alex. And yeah, I guess we'll talk about Charles Leclerc and his luck too, which I think we're gonna have a good time discussing. Oh, and Alex is going to maybe change his mind on how he feels about Lance Stroll after a goated weekend. Who
No,
knows?
no, not at all, not at all, not at all. That is solidified. That is going to be a stagnant thing. That I'm just going to put this right out there as well. Is that Aston Martin looked mighty impressive this weekend when somebody's holding up a Red Bull and it's like in straight line speed, especially on that track. It's a good car for the weekend. All right, Lance Stroll did not do anything magical. All right, if he did anything magical, it would have been him winning the race. Lance Stroll is doo doo. All right, it drives me nuts, and I had this conversation with someone too, and I'm sorry. It drives. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he's a nice guy, and for that reason, I'm okay with that. But at the same time, he's holding up a seat for two potential drivers. Either Liam Lawson or Danny Rick isn't going to have a seat realistically. Potentially Checo. And Aston Martin should be a competitive team. And Liam Lawson, I think, would fit wonderful in Aston Martin under leadership with like Fernando Alonso. And then get rid of Daddy Stroll, get rid of Lance Stroll.
All right. Well, listen, it doesn't take much. It takes the softest wind blow to set Alex off on Lance Stroll. Lorenzo in the chat, what up? That's my hockey buddy right there. Thanks for watching, dude. This is my dude. We go to some hockey games together. I can't wait to go to a game this year. But man,
Rangers?
okay.
Or like
What's that?
Rangers fans are like
No Rangers.
no
Pittsburgh Penguins,
Bruins,
baby.
Penguins. All right.
Yeah, my boys got the jerseys for both of us when we go too. So,
Those are expensive. They're nice. I love hockey jerseys.
listen, excuse Alex. It's a sweater, all right, bro. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We gotta talk hockey. You gotta talk proper. Yes, we throw on those sweaters. All right, but here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put you on the spot. You have to give Lance Stroll a grade for the weekend, and you have to just this weekend alone.
Just on this weekend alone, I'll give him a
Yeah,
B.
you give
I
him a
think
B.
I'll give him a B. He had a solid weekend, but again, that Aston Martin looked really good. They were competing with the top cars. They were competing with the McLarens, Ferraris. They outpaced Ferraris with Mercedes, and Alonso held back Checo towards the end. But yeah, I give him like a solid seven, like 7 out of 10, a B. He did a pretty good job doing. He did what he was supposed to do. But
Wow, that's
I'm sorry, he should have been doing this all season, and finally the guy decided to show up with 3 races left.
Well, listen, that's a high grade. I do think that his performance was a little bit affected by some of the other stuff that was going on this weekend. But listen, when it's there, you need to capitalize on it. That's just what it is.
That's fair. That's
That
racing. That is
yeah,
F1 in a nutshell.
yeah. It's racing. That's sports. That's life in general. If it's there, you got to take
Mm.
advantage of it. So, um, man, let's dive right into it. Oh, hold up, before we get started. Um, the big show of the weekend, which we'll discuss, was Fernando Alonso and Sergio Perez. There was also rumors going into the weekend that they might be swapping cars next year. Obviously, we thought it was funny to discuss, but those rumors were shot down all weekend. They were shot down right away. Um, yeah,
by Alonso, right?
yeah. Alonso was mad. He said, "I'm gonna straighten
Yeah,
that
he was
out."
upset. Yeah,
Horner came out, straightened it out. I mean, Perez obviously says what he needs to, but no one takes any stock in it because we know that he doesn't have any true say in what goes
yeah.
on.
He's
But
just he's just trying to maintain face. That's all.
yeah, if you were hoping to see Alonso in that Red Bull next year, the closest that you were going to get was
It'd be
this
entertaining.
weekend. Yeah,
It would be surely entertaining. Those are two drivers that are very aggressive and similar driving styles. It would be really entertaining. And I told you earlier this season, I would love to see a Le Mans team with Max, Alonso, and Lewis. I think that would be phenomenal to watch. But
the the
to see
most
those guys go at each
most
other would be
stacked team.
fun.
Yeah,
100%.
I mean, the only way you could make it more stacked would be like, well, championship wise, it'd be like Lewis, Max, and Seb, Lewis, Max, and Schumacher. Um, I mean, Schumacher's really the
Yeah.
only one you can throw in there. Give Max another year or two; he'll have more titles than Seb, I would say. So, man, busy weekend for us though. I'm honestly happy. This is the last sprint weekend of the year, and the next two weekends are just your normal standard format. We started off Friday morning. We'll discuss it. Yep, Friday morning. With a regular practice one, nothing too exciting there. Ferraris came out quick, 1-2, but we know how that goes. It's practice. Everyone's keeping their cards close.
I'm
What?
sorry. I'm looking at the chat right now. Is it really roll pens? Is that what's saying for the Penguins?
I mean, listen, if I'm going to be 1,000% honest with you, I'm a very new fan, so that could be their
Okay.
chant, but they are the Penguins, so they.
But I feel like it'd be like slide, like penguin slide kind of thing. Like roll, just, I don't know.
Like a penguin slide?
Like why would you roll as a penguin?
Why do you roll as a tide?
That's fair. That's fair. No, that is fair.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Lorenzo can hook us up with the history of it. I doubt he knows. He
Yeah.
probably just that's what he's been taught, and that's what he says. Um,
Yeah, I'm curious. Let me know.
yeah, we'll let you know. Get into qualifying here. We'll start with the bottom five as we normally do, who got eliminated in Q1. Joe Guan Yu out in 20th, Logan Sargent 19th, Valtteri Bottas 18th, Danny Rick 17th, and Yuki Tsunoda 16th. Man, I want to say that 16th and 17th wasn't a big shocker for me for the AlphaTauris because I felt like they probably weren't going to be as strong as they were in Mexico. But then as the week progressed, like this was just after qualifying. As the week progressed, their car looked so much faster, right?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. And if it
Yeah,
wasn't for one unfortunate event, Danny Rick would have had finishing the points too. They probably would have got a double points finish.
yeah, agreed. So at the time, not a shocker. Hindsight, definitely a shocker for them to finish 16th and 17th in Q1 and be eliminated. Bottas and Joe Guan Yu, I don't want to say big shocker. They've been floating around that Q1 knockout most times, and then Logan Sargent. That's just is what it is in 19th. That's what we've come to expect. Alexander Albon to out qualify him. Because the tide rolls in. All right, I guess that's logical. If we're out here talking about oceans and tides. Okay, sure. Listen, we're definitely not the smartest show that talks about F1 or anything on YouTube. So I'll believe whatever I read on the internet, and if that's what the chat says, that's what the chat says. Q1 also there was big talks of rain coming in all qualifying session. There was a little bit of a delayed start because I believe some guys were blowing tires in practice from debris that was on the track. So they pushed the start back, which eventually we get some rain in Q3. If not for that delayed start, probably we had a full dry qualifying that wouldn't have affected Q3, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But Q1 was a dry session. As we're about to go into Q2, another full dry session. And then the skies really started to change after that. So, got our boy Alex back
Change
with
is an
us.
understatement. I'm sorry. Thor and Zeus showed up themselves to make sure that Q3 was ending.
Yeah, I did. Alex sent me a text hoping for maybe a Max Verstappen photo in Q3 with the sky being bad and some sparks coming out. I did look for that for you, Alex. I could not find it.
Find it. Yeah, I figured.
I have a little like dark sky background for our pick results, but it's kind of transparent, so it kind of loses its luster. But I did my best. I did what I could.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I also looked and I couldn't find anything, but I'm sure that photo's got to be out there somewhere. Man, that was too good of a moment.
Yeah, I mean, if not, we could probably just screen grab it. I just don't know how good the quality would be.
Yeah, I know, but I'm talking like that 4K, 8K camera shot. Like it's got to be there somewhere.
Look at
And
that.
someone's got to have it.
Alex wants that 8K, like when they
And
put
I'm not
that
a
camera.
Max fan, but that image must have been insane. Like it's got to be there.
Listen, you got to respect a good photo. You know what I mean? No
Yeah.
matter who it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so as we jump into Q2 here, we have Alexander Albon 15th, K-Mag 14th, Pierre 13th, Esteban 12th, Nico 11th, and then Oscar Piastri with a little bit of a shocker there in 10th place. Excuse me. Nico in 11th is your 5 who are eliminated from Q2. Both Haas's out, both Alpines out, and then Albon out. What do you think there? Just normal stuff, another day?
About normal stuff. Albon impressing quite a bit in that Williams. But yeah, about what I expected. To be fair, I mean, I don't think anybody expected the Aston Martin to both pull through, especially Stroll. So we'll give him credit where credit's due.
Yeah, yep. And then Nico just continues to kind of outduel K-Mag, especially in qualifying. Nico's just pulling some crazy stuff out there. So then we get into the Q3. Skies are turning very dark at the start of the session. It is one of those sessions where you got to be almost waiting to go in line to get your lap in. If you're unfamiliar with Formula One, they do race in the rain. But if you have a qualifying session that starts off dry, there's dry tires and then there's wet tires. We'll dumb it down a little bit. Yeah. But you need to get your lap in on the dry tire when there's no rain. If you get a lap in there and then it starts raining, your lap is never going to be as fast as when the track is dry. So we had one of those sessions where the sky was looking bad. Everyone should have been lined up to get their lap in. Essentially, most teams got their one lap in, even with extreme wind, which threw some people off at the end. But after that, the skies opened up. So this was really one lap, one opportunity to seize everything you've ever wanted. Full Eminem style.
There's a lot of cringe. There's a lot of cringe there, John.
Whatever. I was rolling for it. All right. But anyways, so as we start, Oscar Piastri, 10th place. He's listed as a DNF. He was, again, one of the last people to try to get his lap in, and wind just took his car and sent him off. Sergio Perez in 9th. I believe he was behind Oscar Piastri. He was affected by the the yellow flag in the sector. That was Oscar. We had Carlos Sainz in 8th. Lando Norris in 7th, George Russell 6th, Lewis Hamilton 5th, so the Mercedes are right next to each other. The big shockers are Fernando Alonso in 4th, Lance Stroll in 3rd. Again, they've showed a lack of pace for a long time. Last podium for them was Fernando Alonso in Zandvoort, which feels like forever ago at this point. So the fact that they put in a good enough lap to get 3rd, 4th, again, is another situation we had that at the time was a big shocker, but hindsight, after we see their pace in the sprint and in the race, not so much of a shocker. Those guys actually had some speed. Definitely thought it was going to be one of those scenarios where they were just going to be roadblocks in the road, but they weren't. They battled back hard and they showed some speed this weekend. Charles Leclerc does what Charles Leclerc seems to do and pull out a good lap in qualifying for that Ferrari in 2nd place there. And then death taxes and pretty much Max Verstappen in 1st place in everything for your qualifying. So, like I said, one lap, the rains opened up, and that was pretty much it. They red flagged the session, but it doesn't matter. They say it's not going to advance anyways. If we were a better show, I'm just thinking of this now as Alex is stepping away real quick. I would have the clip of the roof getting blown off of one of the bleachers in turns I believe it was in turn 4 or was in turn 1.
I think it's turn 4.
Turn 4,
Um,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah, that video's crazy.
yeah, it was a soft roof. Not I mean,
Yeah,
so it didn't do as much damage as like if it was hard metal roof flying around. But that's just how bad the storms got. It's the wind. You could see everyone's ponchos were going crazy. Yeah, and so skies got pretty dark. Alex, we are just talking about the results here real quick. I don't think Max is a shocker at 1. Again, it's becoming normal. Charles in 2. But as we said, Stroll and Fernando 3-4. I think we texted each other. We both thought they were going to be roadblocks. Again, I said this is the second situation this week where at the moment you're like, not shocked, or you're shocked, but you expect them to go back. And then hindsight, you see that they actually had some speed all weekend.
yeah.
What did you think when you saw them 3rd and 4th?
I thought it was crazy. I thought the bigger surprise out of that entire scenario was also Lance out qualifying Alonso. I don't know. I think this might. I don't. Did he out qualify him in the last race? Because I know Alonso got knocked out in Q3 or Q1. Sorry.
I don't know. Alonso, no. He hasn't. No, he's been out in Q1 the last couple of races. So and Fernando made Q3. No, last Lance Stroll has been.
I know, but didn't Alonso get knocked out early last race? Or no?
No, I think he spun out, but still advanced to the next session because the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this. I don't quote me on that, but is this the first time Stroll has out qualified Alonso?
I don't know. It's the first time in a long time. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a shocker. I think that was a bigger shocker to me. I feel like that Aston Martin is just it's struggling to figure out the upgrade situation. It seems like their engineers and their the people who design the car just have no idea where to go with it. It seems like all they can really do right now is copy Red Bull and hope for the best. But I don't know. They put a good package together this weekend. I also think, like you said, the free practice and it being a sprint weekend kind of came into play, and they ended benefiting it and got the package just right before, and nobody else really had the information to get it all together yet. But no, they did their thing, and it was a huge shocker to see them both in Q3 to say the least, and then to qualify one on the podium and one right off it was pretty cool to watch.
Yep. You had Lewis Hamilton and George Russell qualifying 5th and 6th. I believe George gets hit with a penalty,
Competing,
which
right? I think he
puts
got
him down.
competing with Yuki, right? I think it was.
Yes. Yeah. So he actually started the race 8th, but qualified 6th. And then for the rest of the grid, I don't want to say it was just one of those things where we didn't get to see their true pace. Lando 7th, as we obviously saw his pace the rest of the week was great. Carlos in 8th, Sergio in 9th, and that was our qualifying session. Yeah, not much to say. Rain came down and just kind of ruined it for us. Second year in a row.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. That being said, I think it still created some exciting moments. Like you said, you got to get that lap in as soon as possible, so it changes everybody's strategies up entirely because you know the rain's coming, and you don't want the rain to hit, and you stuck on trying to put a lap in on wet tires. So yeah, you hear that? Sorry. That's gonna be a norm, guys. Sorry, you're gonna hear about 3 of those in the next hour.
Listen, I feel like Alex was dialing up a point though, and then the train was coming through. We might have some good the train might solidify his points.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So rain again. Same thing as happened last year when K-Mag got his pole. He got his one good lap in, and then the rain came down. I would have liked to.
Forgot about that. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, this is the second year in a row. I would have liked to seen a full wet Q3. I think that would have been fun.
Where did when George was on Williams, where did he qualify second?
At Spa, and then they did the absolute garbage race behind the safety car, and then gave him.
It didn't happen, so he finished P2.
Yeah, which again, pretty garbage. Because that's the year that Hamilton lost, so we're salty about that. Because you're giving out points for.
Did he lose?
You're giving out points, and they never even took the green flag. So, anyways,
I don't think he lost.
I don't. So then that's the end of Friday afternoon qualifying. Saturday morning, Saturday is designated for the sprint day. Starts off with the sprint shootout. Again, another qualifying session that determines the sprint race later on that day. Again, horrible format. They'll probably never get rid of it, but
it sucks. No, they really do because I'm sorry. I think they will. I'm gonna counter you. I think they will get rid of it eventually. Maybe not next year. I think it'll probably last until new regulations because it's something that everyone's unhappy with. and the numbers for viewing for Formula One has been going down as is. And the least you can do is try to keep your drivers happy and your fans happy that do stay and watch. And
Mm.
this is it. I get it; it's a cash grab, but it sucks. It sucks. Fix the format. Go back to how it was at least last year, where you sprint and is where you're going to qualify. And then I'm not a fan of you getting points in the sprint race, but if you are, just give it to the top three like it was. I think last year, right? I think it was top three last year, or the year before.
I don't remember.
I can't remember. I don't remember, but I don't think you should be getting points in the sprint because at the end of the day, I think that's super qualifying. I also think it hurts the format in the sense that I think these guys should be able to get a little more free practice in. So do the shootout late Friday or something, or early Saturday, or keep the shootout on Saturday and then give them practice, and then do the shootout. That's where you're qualifying for the sprint, and then your sprint position is where you decide where you're going to be setting up for the race. The format sucks. It's dog water. I'm sorry. For those of you who like it, I don't know. Get some IQ points.
Listen, I have to agree with Alex on what he feels about it. I don't think they'll get rid of it just because, like Alex said, I think it's a cash grab. So I think they'll keep it. If numbers go down, I think that they'll keep it because they'll be
down though. That's the thing.
But I think they'll be worried that more practice will tank numbers even more. But I get what you're saying. You're saying we want to make sure we keep the diehards. So let's get rid of this junk race. I'm with you. I just don't think.
Yeah, and it's just like, and it's not like it's an uncommon opinion either. I think this is probably shared to the entire community. Max won a championship on a sprint race, and he hates the format.
Yeah,
he said this himself. It's stupid.
He was again bashing the format this weekend, I think, as well.
Exactly, and again, he won the world championship on a sprint race. It's dumb.
Yep. Yeah. So, again, we've been vocal about that, but here we are. We still talk about it. It's what we do on the show. Sprint shootout qualifying: Logan Sargent 20th, Alex Albon 19th, Joe Guan Yu 18th, Lance Stroll 17th. No, is this right? This is not right. Yeah, it is. Sorry. Here I am. Lance Stroll 17th, Esteban Ocon 16th place. So, in this session here, my brain's racking all the racing that we watched. Esteban Ocon goes to complete a lap. He hits a curb. He gets into Fernando Alonso, kind of wrecks both of their cars. Luckily, Fernando's time got him into the next session, but it didn't matter. Unfortunately, that lap hurt Alex Albon. I think he was a little bit faster than that 19th place. Sargent down in 20th. He was pretty solid there. I don't think he was going to advance. Joe Guan Yu showed he had a bad car all week. But Lance Stroll, I think, would be the question mark out of that sprint shootout one.
No,
elimination.
not really. That's what it should be.
Okay, well, Alex hates him.
It's consistency, man. It's consistency.
What did you think of the Esteban Ocon Fernando Alonso incident?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't watch this. So
Okay.
I didn't watch a shootout at all. I had no knowledge of it. I ended up watching just a sprint race because I was pretty busy Saturday.
Okay, so if you didn't watch, they get into it. From Fernando's on board, it kind of looks like he didn't give him enough room essentially into what would be corner 3, very wide sweeping left-hander, and it almost looked like he turned into his space on board Fernando. Then they go on board Esteban, and it looks like he hits the inside curb at 3, and then kind of goes out and hits Alonso. Fernando said he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and Esteban said, I know a lot of people are saying that I lost it on the curb, but I didn't. I kind of go with the assumption that he kind of lost it on the curb and hit Fernando. Could Fernando have given him a little bit more room? Yes. But also, Esteban doesn't seem to get along with too many people, doesn't seem to get along with Pierre, does not seem to get along with Fernando. I have no idea who his friends are in the paddock.
Were they teammates at one point?
Yeah, Alpine last year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, it seems like all his teammates hate him. It's Checo. Yeah. Pierre. Like everyone hates him.
Yeah, Alex is 1,000% right. You go back to the Force India days. Now, granted, the team in Checo was a little rough on him, in my opinion. But also, yeah, just to go to Alex's point, a lot of teammates, not a lot of good vibes coming his way. But what that did was Fernando, like I said, made it through, but his car was junk. So for sprint shootout 2, he never even went out. So he's 15th. Bottas a little bit better up in 14th. Gasly 13th. Nico Hulkenberg 12th. And then K-Mag in 11th. Pretty standard, operation there. Alpine probably would have been a little bit up. But besides that, all normal stuff, Alex. You agree?
Yeah, Lance doing Lance things.
Lance doing Lance things. And then sprint shootout 3, we got Oscar Piastri 10th, Carlos Sainz 9th, Danny Rick 8th, Leclerc 7th, Yuki Tsunoda 6th, Lewis Hamilton 5, George Russell 4, Sergio Perez 3, Max Verstappen 2, and then a little change at the top, Lando in first, who honestly, he said he was shocked. He didn't feel like his lap was very good, but he put it together, puts it on the front row. I don't know, impressive stuff there.
Yeah, it was. He had a great shootout.
Yeah, and I think certain guys were trying to save tires too, so it was a very interesting. It's just another thing that, like, you're diluting some of the product because these guys are worried about the race on Sunday, and they're worried about saving their stuff. I think me and Alex agree though. That sprint was pretty darn good. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah. I think it was the most exciting part of the weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. So we green lights come on. Lando's in first on the grid, but Max gets him into turn 1. Kind of, does his thing there. Hamilton almost gets Lando. Doesn't end up getting Lando. Sergio Perez gets up on the inside. No, excuse me. I messed this up. I dropped the ball. I'm so upset with myself. George Russell is in third. No, George Russell is in third after turns. Turn 3.
Right. Yeah, because
then it is
he's splitting the Mercedes, if I remember right.
Then it is Perez, Hamilton. Hamilton kind of sticks it on the outside of Perez. I did not see that move sticking. I was shocked. What did you think?
I thought it was insane. Hamilton has some ballsy overtaking this season, and it's been clean too. But yeah, it's just like something you would not think is gonna work, and it's been working. I don't know what kind of magic he's putting on that car, but he went into he went into the dirty part of the track, even though technically it wasn't part of the dirty part of the track yet. But that's not the racing line you want to take, and he made the pass.
Yeah, he makes a pass there to put him into 4th place. George Russell then makes a pass on Lando Norris in what they were calling the horseshoe part of the track, which no one passes there.
Dude, that Mercedes looked racy for the first 7 laps.
Yeah, it kind of looked like Mercedes was on pace to do what they did the last couple of weeks. But a couple laps go by. Lando easily passes George. A few laps later, Perez passes Hamilton, and then it was just free falling for Mercedes. Both of their drivers maybe went out a little bit too hard for what their tires could handle, but they didn't know that at the time. So they just start falling. I believe that Perez ends up getting Russell for 3rd. Luckily, Russell stays 4th. Lewis drops from 4th place. Gets passed by Charles Leclerc. Yep. Yuki Tsunoda. Sainz is all over his bumper at the end in 8th. Danny Ricciardo all over Carlos Sainz in 9th. Oscar Piastri 10th. Fernando Alonso 11th. Lance Stroll 12th. Pierre Gasly 13th. And the reason I just rattled off all those names like that is because there was
a 5-car race. It was like crazy. Like Danny Rick overtook Sainz. Sainz took it right back. Danny looked racy. It was like that middle part for like Lewis's position. Everybody was fighting. It was fun. It was fun to watch.
I think they got the message that there was blood in the water. Also, Ferrari was struggling with some cooling stuff too, but they were still able to kind of handle their business. But man, let's start with Danny Rick, Carlos Sainz. They have a great overtaking battle for a couple laps. Now it's easy for me to sit at home and watch this, but I really feel like Danny Rick was not playing the DRS game like he should have.
Yeah, but I think he was also concerned about his tires. He doesn't want to get stuck behind them. So I think Danny – I mean, we really don't know what's going on in the cockpit. Neither of us will ever be sitting in Formula One cockpit unless John somehow hits the lotto. But yeah, I'll agree with you. But I also think like Danny's he's a veteran driver. He also knows how Interlagos is on tires, and he wanted to make his move early to not ruin his tires faster than Carlos.
Yeah. It seemed like the moves here this weekend was you needed to complete the pass before going into turn one. So you had your normal racing line in turn one. If you kind of made the move into turn one and then ran offline, you are now in front going through two where the detection point was. And if you're offline through two, heading into three, now the guy behind you has a better run through those turns and DRS. And then that person would pass you back. The other instance that you had in the race was if you went down into one and kind of kept them offline, but you were behind him at the DRS zone, then you had DRS going into four. I think you saw Fernando Alonso execute that move perfectly. I believe it was on Pierre Gasly. Kind of stuck in his nose, backed off, got the DRS, and passed him into turn four. So we've seen this in the past. There's certain times at certain tracks where the DRS game is very important, and it seemed really important there. And it seemed like Danny Rick just kept trying to complete that pass before the DRS zone. Sights played it perfectly, squared him up, got the DRS, passed him back into four, and then could just never pass him back again. Oscar Piastri in 10th could just kind of look like a passenger there all race. He didn't get his elbows out too much. He just kept it clean. It was Fernando Alonso who started from the back up to 11th, and Lance Stroll moving their way up, where they looked real racy with those Alpines there. So that was kind of the first indicator of the weekend. Like we said, we were shocked at the 3-4 qualifying. We weren't, again, bad sprint shootout qualifying for them. And then here in the sprint race, we're like, oh man, like there's something there with these Aston Martins. They might actually have a race car tomorrow, and they're starting 3-4. So that was the first kind of indicator there. What else do you guys say, Alex, about some of the racing that was going on, some of the passes, overtakes? What do you got?
For the sprint, it was. So when we got to, like you said, to turn one, it seemed like you got to give credit to Carlos at the same time, because he knew what Danny Rick was trying to do, and he just let him do it, and then he was constantly overtaking. It was almost, to me, it looked like Charles and Max last year in, was it Abu Dhabi? What race? It was the first race of the season. What was it?
It was in Jeddah.
And Jeddah, like he just outsmarted Danny Rick the entire time. He knew what he was trying to do, and just let him do his thing, and then took it right back. But it made for exciting racing, to say the least. So I enjoyed it for the most part.
Yeah. So it was a very exciting sprint. Not gonna lie, 24 lap sprint. Most of the important guys on softs. But this is something that Alex and I were discussing, that all these drivers right away, that's for some reason these tires were so bad this weekend. They all complained about the tires right away. We saw with the Mercedes, as a preview to what happened on Sundays, they just went out a little bit too hard on a race car that was awful all weekend, and they burnt up their tires. I'll jump into what me and Alex were discussing is, with this format, you only get one practice. This is the same thing that got Mercedes disqualified in Austin. They didn't have enough time. Alex, how many times have we seen Mercedes kind of be crappy after 2 practice sessions on Friday? Mick Schumacher hits the simulator for them that night, and then they come back on Saturday with a better package. Like, it's multiple times we've heard about that, right?
Oh, yeah. This weekend didn't play out like that, fortunately for them. Tire deg was obviously a huge issue for everyone on track. Mercedes was a tire deg, and in that straight line speed, they were just sitting. They were just what's the saying? I can't remember what it's saying, but they were
sitting ducks.
Sitting ducks. There we go. They were sitting ducks out there at a straight line speed, and
yeah.
It sucked because, like, you see a car like McLaren, and they have the same engine that Mercedes does. They supply their engine for them, and to see that they have more straight line speed than Mercedes, it must be like a real punch to the gut for Mercedes, and they're like, "Hey, we really fucked up."
Yeah,
Yeah, like
Red Bull came out and said that they think McLaren's rear wing is too small, and that's why they have so good straight line speed, but they have the tire degradation that they do. But to Alex's point there, usually if a car is slow on the straights, that means that they're going to have more downforce for the turns, which means they're going to be better on their tires and have more grip. But that car was just slow in the straights and awful in the corners.
Yeah, everything was wrong. That entire car, it looked like it was a sitting Williams from 2016.
um, Williams was fast in 2016.
Okay, let's go. Wait, 20,
What Williams got slow
2018,
in 2018,
2019.
2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, but
I forget
it
it's 2023, man. It's like a
it's
dream.
time's rolling by quick here. Yeah, one practice session. It clearly did not give Mercedes enough time. I've seen, being so close to watching what Lewis Hamilton does, bad cars that he makes better over practices. In one practice, you need to come out with a good baseline and adjust from there. And if you come out with the wrong setup, not to mention that, this was, like most tracks for them, where they had a zero pod car last year. So the car was way different. You get
Yeah.
upgrades 2 weeks ago that you're still trying to, I guess, figure out. And again, as we say, you come out with a bad car after practice one. Once you go out for qualifying, you can't make no major adjustments. So Lewis, after the race, basically saying, listen, this car stunk today and it's going to be a bad Sunday, was kind of a bad sign to see. But again, because I'm a Mercedes fanboy, this just didn't affect Mercedes. Ferrari, as we said, also had they had to lift and coast because of cooling issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have different cooling packages. Some inlets are bigger and smaller to allow more or less air. That's something that probably would have been adjusted during practices, but with not enough, time, that affected their sprint and their weekend, as well. So
Now,
that
I know you're under the assumption that this sprint packet, this sprint concept is never gonna go away. Do you ever think they're gonna like try to make it a little more um so that park ferme isn't such a big thing during the sprint weekends, maybe to like give the cars an opportunity to make some changes, at least until the sprint shootout, maybe.
um
I realistically don't think it's gonna happen, but I just think it's something to throw out there.
so my only issue with that is I don't think they're gonna grab so I get what you're saying, right? Let's say we move. You said move Park Ferme to after the sprint shootout.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get a lot of data on one lap runs. You will get some,
Well, you
but
still get the
like
free practice data, I'm saying, and then
so
you
you.
get the qualifying data and stuff, and then park ferme Saturday
But
essentially.
what I'm saying is that so Mercedes, because I'll use them.
Mm,
So they looked fat. So they had their one practice. Then I mean they qualified top five, top six in both the
yeah,
qualifying and the sprint shootout. So they probably thought they'd had a strong car, but they probably never did a long run
that's
in
fair.
practice. So even if they probably wouldn't have changed much because they probably would have thought their car was decent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they
So
wouldn't think about like the tire dag and stuff like that.
yeah, so just because it's qualifying and sprint shootout, those are like one lap runs. If they now if you said Park Ferme after the sprint race, now these guys have data after 24 laps of running on a heavier fuel load.
Yeah.
That might be cool.
So I think that's 100%. I think that's a better idea, and that was the original concept I was going to. But I just don't think realistically F1 will go that was ever going to be willing to go that far, or the FIA or anything. So I thought they would maybe settle like right after the shootout.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. Like I think that would be a better option, 100%.
Yeah, it's just, and I think, us being newer to Formula One, I think that Park Ferme rule's been around a long time.
I'd assume so. I
So,
can't imagine it not.
yeah, so I don't think that they're gonna be keen to changing that, even though they were keen to messing up the weekend format with the sprint race. So, but hey, oh man, we gotta talk about the race. So I don't know about you guys, but when they're on the grid and then they get the lights out to go with their formation lap, I get giddy. They're talking, they come in before that and they show the tires on the screen, the three
Yeah, it looks
tires,
cool.
the track. They're going over the driver lineup. I'm getting so excited. Like I'm like, damn, I waited all weekend. In some cases, you wait 2 weeks, for this. You're like, I'm so pumped. And I'm just giddy during the formation lap. But as probably a normal fan, I don't expect anything to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Oh man,
and
I'm sorry.
so Charles Leclerc on the formation lap, which is one lap they get before they come to the grid and start the race, has a hydraulic failure, and crashes out. Now,
No power steering. His car just slams into the wall. I
yeah,
think the
this was
only time
this
I've
was
ever seen a mis. No, that wasn't a formation lap. Actually, never mind. I take that back. I
you're
was
about
thinking
to
of the
break.
George
You're
Russell.
about
I was thinking of the George Russell incident when he's like warming the tires when he's in Williams, and I think it was like 10 laps into the race. I think it was only a safety car or something, and he just ends up putting it on the wall for like no reason.
Yeah.
But Charles is an entirely different scenario. He had a mechanical failure.
Yeah, this was not on him at all. But also, I've seen some posts and some stuff, but I'm almost like not shocked, or like I'm just like classic Ferrari, right? Like the scab that is built up on me when it comes to Ferrari is crazy. Like I almost don't even think twice of the situation, just because it's it's just another day at Ferrari. But man, dude was starting in second place.
I know. I mean, like, realistically, he would have fell back further down the track. But yeah, that sucks. That really sucks. You can't help but feel bad for Charles. He's had a really crappy year. He's had like some really, really shitty luck, and I'm just gonna say it again. I've said it once, said it 1,000 times. That Ferrari seat is just cursed. People's careers go there to die. It happened with Vettel. It happened with Alonso, and now it's happening with Charles. But Charles is far younger and far more talented than I think both those guys, and it sucks that he can't get a car underneath him to work.
If I was Charles Leclerc, I think it might be time to start looking for a new ride. I'm just gonna be honest.
Where do you go?
You go anywhere.
He's not going to Mercedes. No, you can't, because he's a world championship caliber driver. He's not going to Mercedes.
You go anywhere.
He's not going to Red Bull.
You go anywhere.
Okay, Indy.
Anywhere.
He deserves a championship.
I go to NASCAR. I don't care. No, I don't really believe that. I do. I mean, I think McLaren has opened up some eyes. Like before, it was like Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari. If you want to win a championship.
Yeah, like, definitely. But I just don't think, again, like, I don't think McLaren's gonna want him right now. Like right now, Charles' value has got to be an all-time low. And on top of that, like you have your Lando who can compete with Charles, and you have Oscar who's has the potential to be at Lando's level. It's his first year in I know he's had a rust patch with his new upgrades, but he has the potential to be good. It's right now like that. There's two seats I don't want to be in right now if I'm in F1. It is that second seat at Red Bull, poor Checo, and Charles Leclerc, because he just gets so unlucky. And like I gotta give it to him because he seems like the humblest guy in the grid too. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I remember there's a video of him and Carlos like, you see, we always have these hard lives. And he goes, no, mate, we have luxury lives. We have an easy life. Yeah. Like no other F1 driver's ever gonna admit that. But he just can't catch a break, man. I feel so bad for him.
Yeah, no, there's no good place for him to go. But I'm just saying, if something crazy was to happen, if Hamilton wanted to retire after this year,
I would like that. I'd like to see Charles in a. It's just like everybody wants a Ferrari seat. Everybody wants a Ferrari seat.
Yeah, so give it to someone.
That's something. But even Max, when he gets his championship, I wouldn't be surprised if Max wants to sit in a Ferrari for a little bit.
Yeah,
because it's just that historic thing in F1, and Charles has his dream right there. It's just like, I don't know. Homie's getting left hands from Tyson and right hands from Holyfield, and he just can't catch a break.
I was very on the edge of my seat as to who was going to throw the right hand. Yeah, well, but maybe it's like old school lunch at the lunch table. He needs to trade his snacks. I don't know. Max wants to go to Ferrari, then switch. Lewis wants to go to Ferrari, then switch.
Let's be realistic here.
Come on,
you guys. You can't just create. This isn't fantasy football, John. You can't just throw people where you want them.
Listen, I'm just saying. If I was Charles Leclerc, I'd be trying to get out of that nonsense.
Would you realistically?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to get away from that.
I feel so bad for the guy. He has to be the most stressed out guy in the grid, besides Checo.
On a regular weekend, they have the fourth fastest car.
Yes and no. They're always pretty quick there in qualifying. For the most part, they're pretty quick there in qualifying.
Who cares about qualifying? Who cares about qualifying?
They're one-lap wonders. They are one-lap wonders. We'll give them that, all right? But
dude,
I don't know, man. I think if I'm in that seat too, I don't think I want to give up a Ferrari seat. It's like, I know it sucks. I know Vettel did it. It's just, and I know like that engineering team and their strategists, they suck. They got to be, like the Cleveland Browns would probably hire them to run the organization. But it's, it's hard to give that up, man. It's easy to say that when you're watching it from an outside perspective. When you're there and you're seeing the shit show happen, but knowing that this is your dream, that if you somehow turn this shit show around, you're the hero. And it sucks. It's a shitty situation to be in, but I don't think he wants to be anywhere else.
Alex, he is seventh in points right now.
I know.
Seventh.
I
Okay?
know. I'm very
Get
aware.
out. Get out. All
So you say the
right.
same thing for George? Because you
What do
can't.
you
George is what, eighth in points?
Yeah, okay. So have them switch then.
I would
I'm
love
okay
that.
with that.
I'd be okay with that. I don't think Charles would do that. And on top of that, George, like, what was I gonna say about George? George has been kind of getting screwed over a little bit by these Mercedes strategists. Like,
Oh, first of all, big time.
yeah, I like Lewis. I'm a huge Lewis fan, but like watching that race, I'm like, bro, just give him the position, let him have it. Like, Lewis is killing him.
Yeah. No, yeah, we could talk about that in a second. 1000% with you on that. All right, well, to wrap it up, Leclerc needs to get out of Ferrari. Okay, so here we go. Let's talk about the race here. We'll go through the running order. Max Verstappen starts first, leads out of the first turn, and just pretty much gone after that.
Lando was with him. We're talking about the race, right?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
Lando's with him in the
was with him
sprint.
until like no, even in the race. Lando overtakes almost immediately to get the second. I think he overtakes like three cars in the first lap. It's
Hmm.
something crazy like that. And then I think lap 7 or 8, almost overtakes Max. And Max actually had to put the. Then Max decided, you know what, like I'm not playing games anymore, and just put a gap between them by like 2 seconds almost instantly. But he was there. Lando. It looked like he was going to be a little racy for a little bit.
You know what? Alex is 1000% right. Lando did have one go at Max, and it was literally one go.
Yeah,
I
I
was
think it was like
thinking,
lap 7 or 8.
I was thinking of something I heard from Max where he said he didn't. They were asking him about like how long he needed to serve his tires, and he said the formation lap. And the reporter was like, "Are you joking?" And he was like, "No." Max was like, "I didn't full push one lap of that race, because of the tires." He's like, "You can't." So
Oh, okay. I
that
see what you're saying. Yeah.
but that's why I blocked it out. But you're not wrong. Lando did put the pressure on him for one lap, and then like Alex said, Max woke up and put a 2 second gap on him right away, and that was that. Also, Alex was right. I believe you had Fernando and Stroll starting ahead of Lando
Yep.
and Lewis. Lando and Lewis both essentially went around the Aston Martins.
Yeah. They got horrible starts.
Yep, they did. Fernando ends up passing Lewis right away going into turn 4 to get third position there. So it was an interesting couple laps, but the race really died out, and we'll talk about it. Lando Norris just stayed second. He was pretty calm there. Third and fourth was the talk of the day. Alex, why don't you tell the fans what you saw for third and fourth place between Fernando Alonso and Sergio Perez?
Oh, wait. Are we just going to skip over the entire lap 1 incident, though, with the crash?
Yeah, who cares about that?
I kind of do. I felt like it ruined Piastri and Ricardo's race. They both get the lap 1 incident. They both get involved in the crash. Danny Rick takes some unfortunate damage to the wing, which I know it sounds bad, but he also came very close to losing his head. Thank God, like that didn't happen. That tire was able to go over and just hit his wing. Piastri takes some damage too. I forget the entire wreck. Was it Hulkenberg or Magnussen that was in that wreck?
I want to say
In
Hulkenberg was
Albon.
in the middle.
I forget. Yeah, but anyway, so
K-Mag.
one of the Haas gets taken out of the race immediately. Was it Hulkenberg?
Oh,
I don't remember. Anyways, one of the Haas gets taken out with Albon, and that puts the end to their race. And then because of that, they end up pretty much putting out the yellow flag in the safety car almost immediately, and then they red flag the race because there's way too much debris. Like I said, there was a tire that came off of I think Albon's car and almost hit Ricardo. Ricardo got underneath it enough to hit into damage to his back wing. They red flagged the race. They're able to repair the car and stuff. But because they red flagged that race, Danny Rick and Oscar Piastri, who both took damage during that wreck, started a lap behind because of that red flag. Because there was a lap under the safety car that they couldn't do,
yep.
or under yellow. So like I feel like that's a big part of the race. That kind of like Danny Rick could have scored some serious points, and Oscar I think could have done better too had that situation not happened
Yeah,
because the McLaren was clearly showing pace. But if we want to skip over all that nonsense and stuff, then yeah, third and fourth place. The Mercedes were struggling all day. George retired. George was put into retirement, but to be fair, I think that's partially Lewis's fault and Mercedes' fault with a horrible strategy call. They didn't just let George overtake Lewis. There was no reason to discuss it. They could see the pace. I'm a fan of Lewis, but Lewis is just like he couldn't get anything together with this car. He was losing his tires fast, and because he was losing his tires, and George was behind him. George is taking dirty air in. He's also losing his tires, and he's also trying to hold back. I think it was Checo at first, and then a bunch of other cars like Carlos Sainz, so on and so forth, kind of thing. And then he ended up retiring, getting put out of the race, so that sucked for George, and for Mercedes too, because they needed these series points to try to close the gap, not close the gap, to try to seal the deal with Ferrari, with Leclerc going out. Like that's some serious points they could have put between them and Ferrari. Didn't happen. Um, and then the Mercedes kept dropping back the entire race. Actually, that another thing I wanted to say, the Alfa Romeo actually looked kind of racy too, and I know they both DNF'd, but it looked kind of racy. So that's all I really got to say about the race so far. But then in third and fourth place, we got Checo, who had a really amazing race. If it wasn't for Lando, I think he could have deserved driver of the day because he had or Alonso, one of the three. You could have tossed it up to either. They'll say. They both Checo is on Alonso's ass the entire race, and he cannot get the pass on. A phenomenal defense by Alonso. Great strategy by Aston Martin the entire race to just keep that gap there. And it wasn't easy, but came down the last lap, last turn, and Checo nearly overtakes him. I think it was I forget what the exact number was, like 53 thousandth of a second, something crazy like that ended between them. As soon as they passed that finish line, Checo overtook Alonso, but it didn't matter. It was too late. The damage is done. Alonso got his podium, rightfully so. He deserves that.
yeah, those two they had a really good battle together, very respectful. Like Alex said, Sergio Perez gets past Fernando Alonso with like 2 to 3 to go, and kind of thought that was it. Fernando sticks with him, passes him back. It was really a scrap between those two. It was interesting to see what you saw Fernando running those different lines to
Yeah, he
carry
was
more
just trying to
speed.
Checo off. Yeah,
Yeah, so usually you want to hit like the apex of the turn, and most of the time when you run wide, you're trying to keep a little bit of speed up. And Fernando was running wide out of the last what is essentially the last turn, saving energy, getting good runs, and yeah, a really scrappy fight between them two. Alonso must have felt good though to get back on the podium.
he must have felt phenomenal, and I know Checo felt pretty good too to get where he was. He had a good weekend overall, and he was. When you watch the post game or the post interviews after the end of the race, they were both very happy with what happened, and they had a good time the entire race.
Yeah, those guys, they I always want to see our dudes do good, but they kind of deserve that. That was a good bounce back race for them, and I was pretty pumped to see that happen. And with Hamilton not running good, Sergio Perez's fourth place. I don't want to say all but solidifies, but he's got a pretty healthy lead going into the last two races. As long as there's probably not a DNF, he's probably in that second spot. Man, Lance.
We're going to a street circuit, so that's Checo's bread and butter. So hopefully, we'll see what happens.
Sure. I'm not for the street king hype like you are, but
I just like to say I think it's also going to be a little bit different race. I think for those of you guys, I don't think we have anybody who's not American on the track, but or watching us. But if you don't know, Vegas is a desert, so it's going to be a night race. It's going to be cold track temps.
Yep. Which Williams is excited that it's going to be cold and for their tire degradation and long straights because of their straight line speed. So we'll see. That was something that Logan Sargent said. He said, some of the times when you've seen us fast in practice, and then, the temperature will change and it'll throw our whole car off. So that Williams might be fast, but we'll talk about that next weekend. Lance Stroll, Alex's favorite driver. He had a pretty quiet day, but a scrappy one. He fell back a little bit in the beginning. Ends up finishing 5th place. That's the best finish for him in some time. They didn't talk about him much, right? But that's where he ended up.
So.
um, yeah, no broadcast of him really. I mean, he kind of blew past Hamilton. That was kind of like the big
Yeah,
pass for Lance, and then he kind of just settled in that fifth place. He was about 6 seconds behind Sergio Perez in fourth. Carlos Sainz, he ran a very solid race, ran a race of his own in sixth. Pierre Gasly in seventh. Again, I think at some point in this weekend he got into it with Esteban Ocon. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think it might have been the sprint race. But solid finish in seventh. The shocker would be Lewis Hamilton down in eighth, but as we discussed, he struggled with that Mercedes all race. Like Alex was saying earlier, there was a point in the beginning where he was keeping George Russell in his DRS, which was making it hard for Sergio Perez to pass behind. Eventually, Lewis kind of broke that DRS train, and that allowed Perez to get past Perez to get past Russell, and then by Hamilton, which is what Alex was discussing with the strategy. Lewis kind of needs to play the team game there, keep Russell in his DRS longer. That would just make his race better. And then Alex is saying there was a point where, did you see where George Russell was stuck behind Lewis and Carlos Sainz was just mowing down the time?
Yeah, he was mowing down. Yeah,
Yeah.
It was like, and I think he's on the radio, like pretty much yelling at them, like, "Hey, let me overtake, let me overtake, let me overtake." And then at one point he goes quiet for like I don't know how many laps or whatever, but he says it again. He goes, I haven't said anything these last few laps, but I think the data's showing I'm faster. Let me overtake.
Yeah.
And they just were not about it. And I don't know. I don't remember them discussing anything with Lewis. I think the only time I heard Lewis's radio was, "Hey, we need you to pick up the pace." He's like, "I'm trying."
Yeah.
And that was like about it.
I have not heard too many times where Lewis Hamilton has had to be the good teammate or really was the good teammate. It's going to be tough to ask a 7 to 8 time champion to move over for his teammate. It's just not in his DNA. He clearly is the number one driver at Mercedes. So, but yeah, Lewis Hamilton with a struggling day in eighth. Yuki Tsunoda in ninth, which was points for him in both the sprint and the race. He started down there, 16th, 17th place, avoided the lap one wrecks.
He thought he could have done better too.
Yeah, probably with not starting so far back. Then we get into it. Esteban Ocon 10th, Logan Sargent 11th. Logan Sargent 1 place out of getting a point. Even though only 14 cars finished it, and 2 of them started.
I thought it was hilarious. Like when they go to the post interview with him, he goes, I think we looked pretty quick out there. I know it's hard to compare without Albon being out there because he knows damn well if Albon was out there, he's finishing in the points.
Wow, that's so tough to say. You know what I mean? Like, oh my god,
I want to root for him. I really do, and I'm really hoping it's like rookie woes. Either that or like maybe Albon might be like that good, which I'm an Albon fan, but I don't think he's that good that he should be putting this. Like, he should have 99.9% of the team's points. But
yeah, you're just throwing up the surrender flag when you start saying stuff like Alex just mentioned. But yeah, Logan Sargent brings it home in 11th. I believe that first lap incident that Alex was referencing had Alex Albon on the outside, Nico Hülkenberg on the inside, and then K-Mag on the all the way inside. And I believe Albon clips and hits K-Mag. So a little bit of damage on the Haas and Nico Hülkenberg, but he was able to continue. Danny Rick in 13th, as Alex said, involved in that lap one damage, came in the pits, didn't do the second car under the safety, didn't do the second lap under the safety car, so when the red flag came out, they were able to fix it, but he started a lap down, which wouldn't have been bad. Alex, man, no cautions after that. That was kind of surprising.
That was something I wanted to bring up too. The FIA didn't seem to get too involved in this entire race. There was no one complaining about track limits, not that I know of. And like you said, there was a red flag incident. They did their job. They cleaned up the debris, and that was it. I couldn't think of another incident where the FIA finally didn't fuck up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if there was any like Alex said, no.
I don't think there was penalty.
No track limits
on George and stuff, but that's about it. And that was their cut. I felt like.
Yeah, that was early in qualifying. So, as Alex said, FIA really stayed out of it. But Danny Rick, Oscar Piastri in 14th, they really didn't have a shot. That was, if there was a caution and they would have gotten their lap back, they might have had a chance to get a little racy. But without a caution, you're not gonna get your lap back from Max Verstappen, and you're kind of just out there collecting data at that point, hoping for that caution. So that was our running order of people who finished. George Russell, they had to retire the car. They felt like they were on the limit of losing their engine, so they retired. Bottas and Joe Guan Yu had two separate issues, but two retirements for Alfa Romeo. K-Mag retired.
One of them was a coolant, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah, yep. I forget what the other one was. Yeah, one was leaking coolant. I think that was Joe Guan Yu, and then Valtteri Bottas was different issues there. So DNFs for them, Albon, and then as we discussed, Leclerc. Let's get into our driver points here. We had a decent amount of shakeup here. Gonna wait for this to pop up on Alex's screen here. I'll talk about the first couple positions because there was no change. Max Verstappen in first, Sergio Perez in second, and Lewis Hamilton in third. As we discussed, Lewis is now 32 points behind Sergio,
Wow.
so that's pretty locked up.
To make this gap, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Alonso going back up to fourth.
Yeah. So as
Not
we see,
expecting that.
Fernando jumps up with his great finish of third place to fourth. Lando jumps up to fifth, but really he made a massive jump up on Fernando this weekend. We are on mutual agreement that Lando will be ahead of Fernando at the end of the year and finish fourth in the points.
I'm sorry, say that again. There was like an alarm going off.
Yeah, we're under agreement that Lando will be ahead of Fernando by the end of the season.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. The two races left definitely seem. I mean, the McLaren's been probably the best car besides Red Bull for the second half of the season. And he finished in P2 and Fernando finished in P3 this race, and that's probably the best race Aston Martin's going to have for now. The street circuit might get interesting, but yeah, I think Lando's going to be in fourth place. I don't think Lewis really stands a chance. I think you're right with that. I think he needs like Checo to like DNF or something.
Yeah,
Like probably both races for him to like really get that second place. Dude, Max is doubling Checo's points practically. I think he is. Yeah, he is. 250 plus 250 is 500. 8 plus 8 is 16. So 516. That is insane.
yeah, that's disgusting. First place stuff there. But yeah, so Fernando 198, Lando 195, so 3-point difference, and then 3 more points down. Carlos Sainz dropped to 6th. That's where I think that battle will be interesting. I think Lando will take 4th, and then you'll have a battle between Fernando and Carlos if they keep up the pace for 5th and 6th. That's just, what do you agree with that?
Yeah, if the Ferrari can put it together, but then again, the Aston Martin's been struggling last season, the second half season too. Yeah, I think that's actually gonna be that's a good. I didn't notice that. That's a good observation by you, John.
Yeah, a little good battle there between them. I think Leclerc now 22 points behind Carlos Sainz is kind of locked into 7th. George Russell is now 14 points behind Leclerc. I think that's kind of a lock too. I just don't see George gaining that many points on Charles. Oscar on his own island, I think, is locked into 87.
Right. Now let's just skip the rest of this. All right,
no.
None of this really matters. We're going to talk about the serious point battle here for 20th. Do we think Sargent can overtake Liam Lawson?
Yeah, if you are actually watching on screen, there's a 1 to the right of Alex's camera. That is Logan Sargent in 21st place. I was not redoing this graphic for this situation. But no, I'm not going to let Alex take over the show and skip the fact that Lance Stroll jumped up to 10th place because that's what he wanted to skip.
No, because Pierre Gasly is going to pass him anyway, so he's going to go right back down to 14th.
All right, so yes, as you see, Lance and Pierre are separated by 1 point. Alex is saying that Pierre will take it. I'm saying that I don't know on this one. I think it's up in the air.
I think Pierre's going to take it.
I think Esteban's on.
Danny Rick might be able to overtake Nico Hülkenberg.
Yeah. You have Esteban on island in 12th. Albon. This is where it gets interesting. I think Albon's good too in 13th. That's just my opinion. No more sprint races for cheap points.
I think he's locked in. He's locked in at 13th. And
yeah,
plus, like you said, Williams is excited for this upcoming race in Vegas. So, I think he's locked in there.
Yeah, absolutely. A few more points for them. Yuki, I think, in 13th. That's interesting. Yuki 14th. Valtteri 15th. He goes down. Nico goes down. Danny Rick in 17th. You're right. So Danny Rick's 3 points behind Nico, 4 points behind Valtteri. That's doable.
Yeah, he could overtake maybe both of them. Maybe, but it's gonna be kind of hard. He'd have to score like another impressive like top five finish or something. It's gonna be kind of tough. Plus, Hulkenberg's been pretty consistent. If he could just, it seems like he always finishes like 11th or 12th. I think he deserves those points so bad. It's that
Yeah.
Haas just sucks. But yeah. So we got some like exciting point battles at the end, which is like always pretty cool about F1 because every time I bring up F1, like to people who don't know about it, they're like, "Oh, you're talking about that guy who won 14 races in a row," and because everybody knows who Max Verstappen is right now.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, it does sound boring if you just look at it at face value. We have a lot of exciting battles going in the midfield. You got Lewis and Sergio, you got Fernando and Lando. All these little midfield battles are exciting to watch. And while yes, the sport does kind of suck that Red Bull has won, I think every single race this year besides one. I could be
Yep.
wrong, but I think that's
Nope.
what it is.
That's right.
And yeah, there's a lot of exciting stuff happening in the midfield, and that's what like personally I would have been watching for a lot of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, because like we said, there's a lot of people on points with the island or on an island with their points, pretty much up to 13th place, and then it gets exciting. So Alex is
But I'm
100%
excited.
right.
I'm
Yeah.
really excited for that Liam Lawson Logan Sargent racing. I think if it comes down to it, you have to like Talladega Nights it and have them start running the last lap of the race. Both of them.
Yeah.
I need Liam Lawson there.
I think if Logan Sargent's gonna get points and do damage, it's gonna be in Vegas this week. Is his one shot. If it goes to Abu Dhabi where he's still down a point, I think he's screwed. Um,
Yeah, but if they tie, I think with Abu Dhabi they got to run the last lap of the race. Both of them.
that'd be cool. I'm trying to think. But if Liam scores 1 point, or no, if Logan scores
Yeah.
1 point, Liam will get the tiebreaker because he scored his 2 points in a single race. So that I think he finished like ninth. So he'll
So
go to a
Albon
higher.
has to just tell him. No, see that you can't. That sucks. I like the idea of the running, right? We talked about the combine.
Oh
maybe
boy,
that's what they do.
back,
They should do a combine.
we're
Liam
back to
Lawson versus Logan Sargent.
we're back to the
You
driver
know,
combine.
you know, Ryan made fun of me for that this weekend.
Why? That was
He was
gold. I
like,
really
I
enjoyed
thought
that.
he was like, dude, I like jokingly said that, and you guys actually talked about it for like 15 minutes afterwards and took it
Yeah,
serious. I'm like, dude, that's entertainment. What do you mean? I love that.
that's the content we needed. All right, as we go to the constructors, because that battle is still kind of interesting, as Alex said down at the bottom. Red Bull's already clinched in first with 782. Mercedes holds a 20-point lead over Ferrari for third, 382 to 362. Man, that's a battle. It was a little bit of an edge for Ferrari this weekend. Probably would have scored more points with Leclerc in there, but
That
can't
Red
write
Bull
that battle
battle was
off.
disgusting.
McLaren's looking good in fourth at 282. Aston Martin in fifth with 261 is good. And then you have Alpine on an island and sixth with 108. Then it gets a little interesting. Williams in seventh with 28 points. Alex Albon was really upset to not score any points after this weekend in his DNF because he knows how tight this battle is. AlphaTauri with Daniel Ricciardo's looked like a resurgence here with in eighth, 7 points behind. Alfa Romeo, I don't see them scoring a lot of points the rest of the year. They are 5 points behind eighth place, and then Haas is bringing up the rear with 12. But you never know. I mean, that's tight.
Yeah. See what happens.
Do you see AlphaTauri overtaking Williams?
No, I think Albon's gonna do his thing this following weekend and get some points for that team. And I don't think Logan Sargent will realistically. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I mean it's possible. I just think that realistically, these two teams are gonna both finish like just inside the point. So it's like you're gonna get like a ninth place finish, 10th place finish, eighth maybe. So it's not too many points.
Yep.
It's gonna be close. I think Williams is gonna get it though. It's
Okay.
gonna be close though.
All right. I'm in agreement. It's going to be tough. And then your prediction: does Ferrari get Mercedes? Or yeah, does Ferrari get Mercedes?
So we have no sprint races for the rest of the season. So like Mercedes can do with the good data. Uh, how did Mercedes look at Monaco? Because Ferrari looked pretty good at Monaco, if I remember right. Right?
Monaco or Monza?
I'm trying to think of like street races right now.
Street race?
Yeah. So
Huh.
what was
Oh,
that street race? No, was it Miami?
no, Singapore was the last street race.
Singapore?
Yeah, but this layout's a lot different than Singapore.
Yeah, it is. They have long straights too. This is gonna be tough. I think Mercedes is gonna hang on.
Okay.
but I think it's going to be a nail biter. I think it's going to be like a last race kind of thing.
Okay.
That'll make some exciting racing towards the end.
All right.
Aston Martin made up some points against McLaren. I think McLaren's going to win that, but they made up some serious points.
All right. You ready to go over our pick results?
Yes, sir.
All right. As always, throw it up on the screen here for myself. But I gotta give Alex a second to look at. Oh boy, he's got his arms crossed. Look at this guy. He's been relaxed for the full hour and 10 minutes we've been live, which I can't believe we've been live that long.
I know. I just looked at the time.
I just saw his screen change on his face. All right, so Alex brings home 9 points. I bring home, unfortunately, only 2, bringing our total to 127 to 115. As you can see at the bottom of your screen there, where we have all our points throughout. Man, when I've gained 5 points. I've gained 6 points. So gaining 12 points in 2 races is yeah, and a couple of those.
I had Checo in the right spot. That is crazy.
Couple of those races where I've gained good points, Alex has been a fun sport and has not been putting Max first. So, yeah, these next 2 weeks they'll be interesting. I think Alex is looking pretty good. Your top 5 results were Max, Lando, Fernando, Sergio, and Lance. Alex had Max, Lewis, Lando, Sergio, and George. He had Max in the right place, which is 5 points. He had Lando in the top 5, which was a single point. And then he put Sergio in the correct order, which gave him 9 points. I had Lewis, Max, Lando, Oscar, and George, George and Oscar, excuse me. And Max and Lando, I had them in the top 5, but not in the right spots, so I only got 2 points. So it was a tough weekend here. I'm gonna bring up chat real quick because I think Ryan's the only one that commented. But hey, you know what's cool? Ryan was excited enough to text me and wanting to know like his picks, which I just think it's cool.
I remember talking about that Saturday too, if I remember right.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Ryan, and my dad,
He's
man, we'd be in a tough shape without the two of them. Ryan picked Max, Lando, George, Carlos, and Oscar. So as an ad just came up and ruined whatever I just had going on there.
I think he finished.
So he gets
point total as me.
He gets 5
for Max.
Yep, 3 for Lando, which is 8, and then that's it, because George, Carlos, and Oscar did not finish in the top 5, so he would have been close, as he says, had the script. Yeah, so you would have had 9 points. Ryan would have had 8 points, and my 2 points is what it is. So. Yeah, man, Brazil again. They did such a great job when they designed that track with the passing strong straight into the Senna S's, which can give people a run. It's just a beautifully designed track.
It really is. I love Brazil.
Yeah, it was such a good time. And again, I thought the race got a little boring in the middle, but the sprint race, it was exciting, and. But I also think more data would have made the race more exciting. And whatever's going on with these tires and the tire degradation, that definitely needs to change too. So
yeah, that's up to Pirelli. I heard rumors that Pirelli might not be the tires forever in the next few years.
Yeah,
not the next few years, but I heard rumors that Bridgestone might come back or something like that.
Yeah. Everyone tries to get in on that. So Pirelli needs to pick up their stuff if they want to do good. But like as we said, we have a week off before Vegas, so next Monday will just be one of our shorter, preview shows where we'll make our picks. We don't have much data to go on with Vegas.
We have no history. We have no history of the track, nothing like that.
I was thinking of that today. I was like, I can't ask Alex any questions on it. Like it's the first race.
Number one, who has the most constructor championships? Red Bull. Who's won the most? Max.
Yeah, that's what it's gonna be. So yeah, no, Formula One, man, it's crazy that we're winding down. We got 2 races left. I'm sad. I don't know where the time goes. It's crazy.
We're gonna have 2 months off, 3 months off.
Yeah, we'll have about 3 months.
Yeah.
3 months off.
Yeah, so it's not too long, but yeah.
Yeah, Alex and
weird waking up on those Sundays.
Yeah. But yeah, with no racing, luckily, we're football fans, so that'll carry us. That carries us kind of to February, and then like a few weeks, it's
It's at Formula One. Yeah, but
Yeah.
still, it's also like we I got like the pre practices, the qualifying. I'm excited to see the car designs change and stuff, and maybe we'll get some cool libraries. I'm hoping McLaren changes theirs up a little bit. I'm not a big fan of the one they got going right now for the overall library, but yeah.
I can't believe they didn't ask you. You were the livery master.
Oh yeah, because I can design perfectly. I'm a great artist.
Oh
For
man,
those of you who don't know, John and I went to high school together, and I was horrible at drawing.
this guy was too. So I made our YouTube thumbnail like 3 times before I just gave up and made it what it was. Um, Max Verstappen made a comment did you see that he almost drove off the track watching
Yeah,
the
watching Checo and Alonso go at it.
yeah. So
That would
what
have
I
been
was
crazy to see. Imagine that. Like you see the last turn, they finally finish the race, and you just see Max cars in the wall.
so I I tried to I went and got Max's onboard
POV. Yeah.
from when he pushed Lewis off the track in 2021.
Yeah.
And then I tried to put like this like television screen. I used it in the thumbnails for something else. I tried to put it off to the side and then a picture of Alonso and Perez fighting. So it looked like, and I was going to do something. And I was like, I don't know. I'm so bad at designing stuff too, but
No, yeah, we'll figure it out. Hopefully one day.
yeah. And no, guys, listen, we are trying with Instagram here. If any of you are smart enough that are watching to help figure out why I can't share the whole stories, Instagram stories, me and Alex both have tried on our personal accounts. We go to the whole story, we click share, and the first option we get is share to a thread, or we can send it as a message, but we can't like add it to our story like we can with most other things that we want. So we're struggling. We're trying to get our social media game there, but when we're fighting Instagram and they won't respond to my problem requests, there's only so much we could do. So, but yeah, that's that. What else you got, Alex? Anything?
Nothing I can think of right now. I'm hungry.
Yeah, me too. My stomach went twice, and I didn't know if the mic picked it up. I have so much background noise here with Carter upstairs, and then like my boiler goes, the train. But my stomach went a couple of times. I was like, oh my gosh, did I get picked up on the mic? Yeah, Ryan said check growing out his beard equals John growing out his beard. Listen, thunder
No
up,
shade,
baby.
November.
Thunder up. Yeah, man. I don't want to talk too much about Vegas because that's what we're going to talk about next week. So
Yeah, it's gonna be a real short show, guys. Next week, we don't got no history, like John said, and
yeah,
we'll figure something out.
unless you get active in the chat, you could keep us going.
Yeah,
I doubt
come up with
Lorenzo.
some hypotheticals.
Listen, if we were a big show, I would make a train emote, and then every time we heard it on Alex's stream, I would
It's
have you
gonna
guys.
be like every 20 minutes. There's like 3 trains that goes over here on the hour.
I would have you guys spam the train emote if we were big time. That's what we would do.
Is it loud?
No, not at all. It's
'Cause,
just a
'cause,
little background.
What I was I think I remember last week I was rewatching the show and I remember like I could hear Carter running through your
Mhm.
like headphones and stuff. And when I watched the show, I could barely hear Carter.
Oh,
So I'm
but
hoping that
you could hear it over
yeah,
the show.
I could
Yeah,
hear
yeah.
him. I could hear him like in my headphones over the show. But when I'm watching the show on YouTube, I can barely hear Carter. So I'm hoping that kind of carries over with this train, but this train's pretty loud.
Yeah, I got you. That makes sense. Yeah, I know. I mean, we don't have the sound figured out. What do we know over here? We're struggling. We're struggling.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, chat was quiet today. I appreciate Lorenzo. I doubt he's still watching, but listen, he said, "Yo, John, what up?" That was cool to see. Ryan in our chat as always, and my dad.
Yo,
Appreciate
you gotta teach
you
your boy how to
guys.
spell your name though. There's no H in there.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? There's a couple people from the gym spell it wrong. One of my good friends that I like, he spells it O-N at the end instead of A-N, and I've never corrected him. I just let it roll. I was like, whatever. Who cares at this point?
Jonathan.
Jonathan.
That's funny.
Hey, listen, Alex is wearing UConn gear today because we'll talk about other sports. I know Syracuse plays tonight. I don't know if UConn starts their season tonight.
I don't. Yeah, that's a cool question. I really don't know. I wasn't paying attention too much. I don't really pay attention to much college basketball until March Madness comes around. I'm not gonna lie to you. I
That's
kind of
not
keep
a
up.
fan, people.
I kind of keep up with it. I know who the players are a little bit, and then when March Madness comes around, is when I really get like OD into it. So like, I probably say like 2 weeks before March Madness is when I really start to do my research.
That's nonsense. And he supports a team who plays 25 minutes from him. That's
I like a
unbelievable.
lot of teams in college basketball. To be fair, I'm a UConn fan. I'm a UNC fan. Fuck Duke. That's all I gotta say about that one. Fuck Duke and
Damn.
anybody who supports Duke, like you're dead to me. I don't care.
Damn. I don't know why he has it out against Duke, but
Fuck Duke. Fuck
wow.
everything about Duke.
Wow. Brooke doesn't like Duke either. But
Hell yeah, I like Brooke.
yeah, so we got that going on. We got, Steelers looking okay. It's what we do. We win games with when the other team scores more yards than us. It's just what we do every game. Panthers look like
You gotta give it. You gotta round up. You gotta.
yeah, win's a
Clap it
win.
up for Tomlin. You gotta clap it up for Tomlin. Somehow this guy manages to win with nobody's on his team.
Yep. Panthers should have taken. Well, yo, I'm actually tight right now.
What?
Ryan just invited you to play Fortnite and not me. That's messed up. Why did I
gotta
get
go
the
eat
invite?
dinner.
I literally just reconnected my PC.
Did you really?
Yeah, and I was trying to message him about it, asking if he still played it. He told me he didn't really play it. Wow, listen to that. Wow, I pulled my own PC.
Fake, bro.
I was getting cooked on the OG map. No builds. I was getting cooked. It was not good, dude. Hey, someone hit me with the oh my gosh, what's the dance thing called? The
Boogie bombs.
oh
Yeah,
my, I got hit.
Like,
I was so mad.
dude, like when we play like squads and stuff. I literally drop all my loot just to pick up boogie bombs. And usually when we're playing squads, we'll play like Caleb, and I just boogie bomb Caleb the entire time.
Bro, that's
every opportunity I get.
That's amazing.
I forget how many you can carry, but I think it's like 4 for each slot.
Yeah.
And I'll carry like 16 boogie bombs. I'll have like one gun and 16 boogie bombs, and I'm just boogie bombing Caleb.
Yeah, but that's a good strategy.
Not really,
listen,
not at all. Like,
well, not for your teammate.
Not the way you want to do it.
No, but if you were throwing them at the other team, it'd be a good strategy.
Yeah, it's funny.
My dad said UConn at tonight at home.
Oh, sweet.
So, yeah, no. So this is cool. Ryan's dead to me after the show. That's cool. Yeah. So we will see you guys next week. Let's get off now. Try to go see Carter before he goes to bed. Alex, deuces, 5:30 next Monday. Look for us on socials. Hold me to it. Socials is the goal this week. Hold me to it. You need to see at least 3 things. Post stories,